Hey everybody, welcome to Team Moonlily Games. We just got back from Atlanta, literally like 20 minutes ago. Got top 8, so we're really happy about it. Unfortunately, we lost in the first round of top 8, but we're going to do our deck profiles because we did a lot better than I think we thought we were. For me, I play Dragon World, Dimension Dragons with Lost World. So to start off, my buddy is Dimension Dragon Agonia, and I played 4 of him main deck. When he leaves the field by any means necessary, so if you call over him or anything like that, you drop a card from hand, look at top 4, and put 2 in your hand and 2 in your gauge. You have to drop a Dimension Dragon, but the whole deck is Dimension Dragon, so it's really not hard. This was what everyone considered my second buddy, which is Epis. This card is ridiculous. When it comes on the field, drop a card from hand, look at top 6, put 2 monsters and or Lost World Flag into your hand, specifically Lost World Flag. So if you're in Lost, it can't just grab any Lost World card, but it grabs everything you need out of your deck monster-wise. It is absolutely phenomenal. We ran 4 of Dimension Dragon Dugain, I guess is how you would pronounce it. Basically, if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field, you can call him and the attack gets redirected to him. This was a great card against Max Dragons because with the Penetrate, every attack would go to the left or right, meaning I would not get hit, and it's a card draw, getting through the deck much faster. One card I really liked was Dimension Dragon Ankos. A lot of people were kind of surprised that I ran this, but when used in tandem with Epis or even Agonia, it's a free gauge and draw, and then if you're in Lost World, draw an extra card. It just ramps so well, and I ran 3. Honestly, I think I could bump it up to 4. My one tech was Dimension Dragon Cremata. Honestly, I think this one just kind of slipped in. But when it's played on the field with another Dimension Dragon, you just draw a card. I think this one could have been swapped out for Odio. I know a lot of people like to play it. Odio is pay 2, destroy a Dimension Dragon, put any card from your deck into the drop, and then put it on top of your deck. And I think either one of those would work. I guess Odio is pretty much a guarantee. But with Epis and Agonia and even Ankos, you're almost guaranteed to find what you need. My other tech choice was the new Dimension Dragon Cataline. These names are insane. Basically, when this one's destroyed, destroy a monster on your opponent's field. This one kept a lot of decks in check that I could destroy monsters. And then when your opponent starts their attack phase, you can pay a life to put it on the field. So it made it kind of tough, and with some of the spells that just destroy monsters on my field, I was able to get quite a bit of value. So that's it for monsters for this deck. Moving on to spells. We ran 4D Suction. Destroy a monster on your field, draw 2, gain a life. Just works super well with this, works super well with the size 0. So much card draw in this deck, it's ridiculous. There were times I was just drawing into half my deck, and I mean, it's too easy. DN Bringer, we ran 4, again, just insane amounts of card draw, pay gauge, draw 2. If you're in Lost World, deal 2 damage and draw an extra card. Next up, I ran 2D Together. This card I'm kind of iffy on. Basically, destroy a monster on your field to destroy a monster on your opponent's field. Draw a card, gain a life, gain a gauge. It's okay. I know some people really like it. I'm not really one of those people, but I do run 2 because it is a good card when the opportunity arises. I run 2 Machining Sacrifice. This card is really good to kill an Epis on your own field, removing the attack target, and then calling another Agonia during their turn from your drop. This thing almost always ended in value for me, but only 2. We ran 4 the Alteration, which if your opponent attacked 3 or more times, just end the phase. So if they're in attack phase, just end it. If they're in final phase, just end it. Really powerful card to keep yourself alive. And we ran 4 of those. I ran 2 of the Dimension Spear Gun weapon. What this does is when you rest it, you can stand a Dimension Dragon and draw a card. I found this one worked better for me because a lot of my deck had to do with drawing cards, and if I ever found this, I was able to just draw even more into my deck. Because without ODO, you just have to draw into Lost World, but with this build, it seemed really easy to do so. I ran 3 Drago Traps. These came in so much handy against things like Max Dragons, basically decks that just had one massive monster trying to beat me down. This card was absolutely insane. Pay gauge, 2 life. Pick a card on your opponent's field. That card cannot attack. It doesn't rest, so it gets around all those pesky "this card cannot be rested" effects. 1 Lost of D. This gets Lost World specifically, or Dimension Dragon back from your drop. I only ran 1 just in case I ever accidentally dropped the Lost World flag or got caught in gauge. It helps occasionally. Sometimes, most times it was just used to grab another Agonia from my drop. 4D Barrier, Classic Shield, draw a card if you have Dimension Dragon, or just draw a card. You can only play it if you have a Dimension Dragon. 2 Lost Stone, Dimension Dragon's effects cannot be nullified, just quality, and you can drop a card from your hand during an attack to reduce the damage by 1. Again, works with Ankos. Only 2 though. It didn't seem completely necessary, but was good in some instances, but was a quick tech out for sideboard purposes if I didn't need it. I ran 1 Recovery Veil. I was hoping to see a little more Godpunk. Didn't get that wish, but did not get to use this as much as I had hoped, but I have one, so. 1 Buddy Block, pretty self-explanatory. It's just a good card in general. And 2 Lost World Flags, because it's Dimension Dragons, and you should always go into Lost World. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the Lost World deck. We have 1 of the main Vanity Husk Destroyer. Honestly, I only own the 1, and I had to kind of lend some cards out to help some other people with their decks. So I only was able to tech in this 1. I loved it though, but if I could get more, I would certainly get more. However, I found that the trial deck version of Vanity Husk Destroyer works just fine. It's actually still very good, as most Lost World cards are. So I ran 4 of these just for bodies on the field. I ran 2 APOC. This card was probably my MVP of the day. With how many Max Dragons I went up against, this card just absolutely annihilated them. And frankly, I think this might be my favorite version of Vanity Husk Destroyer. We played 1 the Skull, mainly just for the 5 crit and the fact that it couldn't be rested. Most times I was playing decks that couldn't even have their cards destroyed, so that effect was almost moot most of the... We run 1 of this. I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of these names, they're ridiculous. But his effect is counter drop a card, return a card from your opponent's field to their hand. It has 2 crit, triple attack. There's only one. The effect's really good for if it can be used, but that's the only reason it's in here, is that sort of bounce effect. We run one of this from the trial deck. Double attack with 2. When this hit the field in center, it was almost a wall that nobody wanted to attack because it does have counterattack. We run 2 Lossless Heiser, the new weapon. Triple attack with 3 crit, 30k power. Was almost just too much for a lot of people. And I know the weapon that when you swing they discard is also very good, but I found people were a lot more afraid of this than the discard weapon, just for the sheer amount of damage and power it could do. We run one of this. This Lost World deck is actually a lot of 1-ofs. Pay gauge, nullify effects, and then just destroy a card. For getting around the cards with Soul Guard. And then 1 Rawl Face. Again, for the effect, if I could destroy items and spells, and then destroy it to destroy all monsters, and then using that to get into APOC. We ran one of this Lost World monster, Kerr something, and basically when a Lost World monster swung, destroy a card on your opponent's field, deal a damage. I kind of wish I ran more of these because we destroyed with them as well as got destroyed by quite a few of these. This card is a hidden gem that everyone should look to run. In order to meme people, this Lost World deck is actually very memey because it runs the Vile Vortex, which can sneak out APOC for free. And with the amount of draw in Dimension Dragons, it was incredibly easy to do so. We run 2 Dimension Zeganai, which basically nullifies an attack, return a Lost Vader spell, just Lost Vader in general, to your hand. Very good card. 1 dimension draw. Honestly, this wasn't even in my first build. I actually just bought a box the day of and pulled it and was like, yes, that's getting added. It's draw 3, drop 2. Super good. Speaking of super good, Deep and Vile. Very good card. Top 4, 2 in hand, 2 engage. Just incredible value. I run 2. I think every Lost World deck should at least run a couple. 2 dimension jammings. This card also very good, making your opponent drop 2 cards. Insanely powerful effects. That's pretty self-explanatory. 1 Vanity Cells. Didn't really get to use this. Didn't see many of the impacts that I could stop. So this one was kind of not too helpful, but always have it just in case. 1 Day of Destruction. Honestly, this should be more. Day of Destruction, a super good card because you can either destroy monsters and deal your opponent damage, or your monsters can't be bounced, destroyed, or I believe they can't be rested. Oh, their abilities can't be nullified until the end of turn. This card was a savior to me for a lot of matches. 1 Dimension Denial. Self-explanatory. Just counter a spell card from your opponent. I only run 1. Good card though. Definitely need. 1 Dimension Wave. We do run the Vile Vortex build, but 1 Dimension Wave just in case I couldn't get to Vile Vortex. This one gives me 2 life, 2 gauge, and allows me to call APOC. But just 1 of that. 1 Vanity Zero Blazer, just to try and finish games. Almost always drew into it, never really had to use it. And then 1 Dimension Cruelty. This card is amazing, mainly because the restand effect on it is just insanely powerful. But it's so it has so many uses. It's just an incredible card. So that's it for the Lost World deck. Going into the sideboard, ran 2 Loyalty, which are self-explanatory, as well as 2 Chest Breaks. Very helpful card against Max Dragons. One card that actually did a lot for me was the Green Dragon Shields. I found a lot of times my monsters were getting killed, and basically against things that had multiple attacks that I just couldn't guard at all, Green Dragon Shields really came in handy when I didn't have a Dimension Dragon. And then 3 Day of Destructions. This was a little overkill, but again, this is such a good card that I just sided in 3 at the time. And I swear I was siding in at least 2 more in between rounds. So that's it for this deck. My record personally was 2-0 against Dragon World Garga, 2-1 against Max, 2-1 against Max, 0-2 against Deity Dragon World Garga, and then 2-1 against Deity Dragon Ein Garga. And then top 8 cut, I played against Max Dragons again. Unfortunately, I was up 1-0 at the time, but we had just lost a round, so I didn't get to finish that. But overall, this deck really worked well, and that's it for this deck.